to adopt a resolution authorizing the creation of the Era Public Improvement District Number 1.
Clay Benford, representing the County Special Counsel. Wanted to thank you first for taking this item early. I have a 10 o'clock meeting in San Antonio that I'm hopeful to make. But this is a project that through Commissioner Sitter and Commissioner Castiglione have been working on for a while. It is a significant project, but also one of significant size. When we initially received the application for Public Improvement District, it was for 540 acres. It has been downsized a little bit to 488 and change. They took out some commercial property as to part of the Public Improvement District, but it is a master plan single family and commercial residential development. It is on Petrenko Road. It is where the complex of new school facilities or Medina Valley ISD school facilities are being constructed. It is just to the west of that property. The Public Improvement District, we have accepted a petition. We've conducted a public hearing. After we conducted the public hearing, we have had commenced negotiation of a development agreement and a Chapter 381 agreement that we'll talk about in the next two agenda items. But those agreements, in terms of that developer, are imperative to the county's agreement to authorize the approval of the PID. The Public Improvement District, as we've talked before, this is just the creation of the legal vessel. There are no economics that have yet funded that vessel. That will come at a future point in time where we will ultimately impose an assessment on the property within the geographic footprint of the Public Improvement District that will fund the public improvements that will facilitate the development. I'll hold off on going into some of the details of the transaction until we get to the development agreement. But I will also say that the developer that we are entering into this agreement with does not currently own the property. He has the property under contract, and it's a bit of a chicken and an egg because he doesn't want to close on the property until he knows that there is a Public Improvement District and Development Agreement in place. We don't want to enter into an agreement with someone that has no intention of developing the property, but we need the landowner in order to encumber the property with the development agreement. So what we do is we proceed with this standard, but we also have the PID petitioners deliver to us what's called a dissolution petition, meaning that if for some reason their land deal does not close, then we exercise on that petition to dissolve the Public Improvement District, and then everything we're doing here goes away. And then that way we don't have what we call a zombie PID, where we have encumbered some piece of property under the landowner that has no intention of developing it itself. But this allows the transaction to proceed and to eliminate the risk of the county to do something with a prospective owner of the property, but is not the actual owner at the time of creation. So that's what we're doing today with this first item, which is the creation of the Public Improvement District. I know you guys have all seen this before, are understanding and familiar with the process. The mechanism will be used to provide additional funding to fund public infrastructure within this geographic footprint. No county taxes are associated with the actual PID. We'll talk about that with the 381 agreement in a minute. Happy to answer any questions.
In 2 minutes.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution authorizing the creation of the Public Improvement District Number 1.
I have a motion and a second to adopt a resolution authorizing and creating the Era Public Improvement District Number 1. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3, discuss and take possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing the Medina County's execution of a development agreement concerning the development of the Era Improvement District Number 1.
Thank you. And I will spend a little bit of time on this because the features and attributes of this development, what this developer has agreed to, are pretty incredible. And I think is going to provide a new standard for us on a go-forward basis. And that's what we try to do, is every one of these we try to make it a little bit better is not the right word, but a little bit more robust and a little bit more comprehensive. And I will say the first thing about this is this property is not located in the ETJ of the City of San Antonio. And that is extremely important from a development perspective because the county has an interlocal agreement with the City of San Antonio that says that the City of San Antonio is responsible for all inspections and all determinations that the property is, the development is constructed in accordance with the applicable codes and regulations. When you are in an unincorporated area of the county that is not part of the city's ETJ, the county does not have that protection, which means that the county would have to hire its own inspectors and would actually have no legal authority to go in, and even if they didn't build to the code, to say you need to change this. Well, the developer, we negotiated that they will pretend as though they are in the ETJ, and they will apply the terms of the city-county interlocal agreement to this developer, and they're responsible for paying all of the costs for inspections to determine that those codes are followed. So that, in my opinion, is one of the biggest deals of this, is to actually have someone that's not obligated because of the location of the property to follow that requirement, has agreed contractually to do so, which again is the power of these agreements, where you can do things by contract that you can't do by law. The other, we have our standard ones in here. Again, it's 488.517 acres. We have expanded sizes of roads and cul-de-sacs in comparison to what is required by the Uniform Development Code. So we have wider roads where we can avoid the cars parked on the street. Now emergency response vehicles can't get in, fire trucks can't turn around because the cul-de-sacs are too small, school buses can't get in and out. We address all of that by requiring that the developers build infrastructure that will actually accommodate all of that. We have a water reuse requirement. We have a major collector road that is going to go north and south through the property, starting at Petrenko Road and working through the property to the south. And it doesn't make it all the way to Highway 90, but it is the start of another access point going north and south between Petrenko and 90. There is an east-west arterial spine that goes behind the commercial area that fronts Petrenko Road that will connect into the complex of Medina Valley ISD schools to provide another access point in and out of that development, where there's currently only a single access point that is a choke point for traffic. We have property in here that the developer has set aside for Medina Valley ISD in order for them to be able to plan for a new elementary school. It's 17 acres set aside, and we agreed to a price today. The developers agreed to a price to sell to Medina Valley at $2 a foot, which is about $86,000 an acre and change. And Medina Valley has 5 years to exercise that purchase option, and then if they don't, they get another 2 years where the price escalates by 10% per year. But it locks into the school a location where they know at a point in time they're going to need an elementary school, but to not be held hostage in the future for prices because they know that they really have very limited options. The developers have agreed, and we'll talk about this in the 381 agreement in a little bit more detail, to build these transportation elements at levels that are beyond what they need for their own development, but to contribute to the greater growth of that area and to help with the traffic mitigation. The major arterial that goes through the middle of the property, they only needed to build to a certain standard to accommodate their development. Well, they've agreed to a higher standard that is going to allow more traffic to go through there when it's ultimately built out, and to carry the cost of that and the risk of reimbursement by themselves up front. Now, the development of that road might be 10 years down the road, but contractually they're obligated to take that road from one end of the property to the other. The other one is this collector road to go to the school property. They don't have an immediate need under their development, but they've agreed to, by 2026, build that road so that the school can access the property by the same time that the new high school is opening. I want to go through some of my other notes here to be sure that I'm not missing anything. We have water and retail water services by Yancey under a non-standard agreement. There is also sewer, so it's not septic. We have minimum lot standards, and we have mandatory homeowners association. So not more than 51% of the lots within the development can be 6,000 square foot lots. The balance of the subdivision is of larger lots, and except for the two main roads, the collector and the arterial that we just talked about, all of the road maintenance obligations belong to the homeowners association within the development. So they have to assess themselves to maintain the roads, and that's not a county obligation, and that's in perpetuity. We have design standards. to where they have to come up with dedicated conditions and covenants and restrictive covenants that are enforced by the homeowners association that are going to compel certain design standards to maintain a minimum entry threshold price of $375,000 for the homes. Now, we don't tell them what they can build, stone, masonry, board and batten, whatever, but the conditions have to be of a high enough standard that will support a minimum entry price that is higher than the median in this area. And that will ultimately inure back to tax benefit to the county. And then all of those restrictions have to be enforced by the homeowners association. And there's a lot in here. The land plan has been negotiated in detail by the commissioners with the thought as to the comprehensive development in that area and not just this singular development. I'm happy to answer any other questions. There's a lot in here, but I will say that it's something that I'm proud to present today, and I would recommend approval.
Thank you for your work.
Certainly.
I know we had asked you to put a lot of time and effort into this because it's a rather large subdivision, and I think in the future is ultimately going to provide transportation options to the eastern portion of Medina County that they don't have. So they're currently stuck on FM roads and, for example, like Petranco Road or State Highway 211, and as much road is coming out there right now, we're going to need additional options. We're not going to be able to keep expanding the existing roads that we have. So I think with your work and the developer's willingness to do that, we've got to start.
I agree. Thank you.
Clay, I will thank you and Bob. Like I said, this thing wasn't always on level C, I guess you call it. It's been some rough spots in between, between the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, between Bob, Dr. Kellogg, and Clay. We handled this thing out, and when I got a phone call Monday morning, everything went a good direction, I feel. Mm-hmm. We had a developer that wasn't really happy. We had school districts that really wasn't happy. So I think we won. Yeah, we won. And like I say, as far as the maintenance on these roads is all going to be 100% taken care of by HOA. The engineering thing, once we fell out on some of the EPJ stuff, we did put in here where we can hire a engineer of our choice, which would be a county engineer, and do the build for the developer, and all that was a free fall. And I think that's a big step forward that we need to put in every developer going forward. We're here to get these good developments in and not just finance somebody's subdivision. And I made that loud and clear to several other developers. You know, if you're going to come to Medina County, we won't help you put in a good development, but you're going to have to get back just like the rest of the developers are. These school sites, you know, he said $2 a square foot sounds like a lot of money, $86,000. They're paying $82,000 for land. Then they're getting roads, then they're getting sewer, then they're getting water. So that's all the cost on the developer's back, and it's a bunch. So I think at the end of the day, I talked to the developer, I talked to school districts this morning, and I think everybody is going to have to face this thing is going to get the stamp of approval and move forward. And at the end of the day, it does sound like it's going to be about an $880 million project, almost close to $1 billion before it goes into another section. So I think we're all on the same page here. This is a development we want in Medina County. And this is the only thing he's been on here, man. These more money developments. I don't know if I'm going to keep him for the enjoying the night today and enjoy the good one. With that being said, I will make a motion that we adopt the resolution, Medina County execution of the development agreement with Victor Public Improvement District number 1.
Second. I have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution authorizing Medina County's execution of the development agreement concerning the development of the Viera Public Improvement District number 1. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4, discuss and take possible action to adopt a resolution authorizing Medina County's execution of a Chapter 381 agreement with San Antonio Vieira LLC concerning the development of the Vieira Public Improvement District Number 1 and addressing other matters in connection therewith.
Thank you. This is the third piece of this this morning's agenda, and this is a Chapter 381 agreement. Now, this one is different. Public Improvement District and the financing mechanisms for the Public Improvement District mean that the county imposes an assessment on the property within the development, and then that is used to either reimburse the developer for public infrastructure or to pay directly for that infrastructure. It's additional revenue that the county would not otherwise be entitled to anyway. A 381 agreement is an actual contribution, in this case, of future tax revenue generated from the subdivision, from the development, to reimburse the developer for some costs that are not otherwise payable by the Public Improvement District. So I talked about the arterial for the road that is going through that subdivision. The Public Improvement District is only allowed to impose on the property owners for the benefit that they derive. And if they only need a road that benefits them, then the Public Improvement District can't pay for the increment that is beyond that services all the surrounding territory. So what we did is we told the developer, we want you to build the bigger road. And the county, instead of kicking in dollars today, because we don't know if your development is going to make or not, we will tell you that the difference between what you needed to build and what you agreed to build will be reimbursable to you from the incremental revenue that is derived from the development of your property. So if the assessed value on that property is $1,000 today, and they develop it and it's worth $5,000 tomorrow, the tax increment on that $4,000 delta, the county will contribute up to 70% of that delta back to the developer until they pay for that increased cost of the road. But if it doesn't happen, if the development doesn't happen, the county still has a road. The developer just does not get developed. So you've transferred the risk of the need for that road to the developer who says that they need it, or the area is going to need it. And what you're saying is that some of the future tax revenue from the development, you're willing to contribute to pay for that when and if it materializes. So that is one piece of the 381 agreement. The other is for the spine road to the school. We don't know yet how much of that is going to be allocable to the PID, but we do know that there's an argument that can be made that the development doesn't really need it, but the developers have agreed to put it in because of what it does for the area. So the amount of the reimbursement is going to be the difference between what we determine the PID can pay for and the cost of the road. And so, again, that is only from incremental revenue. If the development doesn't happen, there's nothing for the developer to be reimbursed. But those roads and that construction is going in the near term, long before any of the development will actually come out of the ground to make the tax payment. So, again, we think this is a good deal for the county, and it is a way to not put at risk the rest of the taxpayers for what might happen in this small area relatively at the county.
Real quick. Like they had 381 agreement. We didn't have 381 agreement for our major artery. We would not get any roads in Medina County. This is a way for them to pay for them. If we pay them back within the time, that 70-30 split goes all the way back to 2013 with the Franklin Ranch subdivision. We have stuck with that from that day, and that's what we're using on every single one. Nobody gets a special cut. And Clay was there on the ground floor with all that stuff, so thankfully we're still moving that forward. I think it's a good move for Medina County. If not, we're going to get more look with it. And it's working with some other developers out of Campbell right now to try to get a piece from Campbell and north. So I don't know how that's going to work out in Campbell. With that being said, I will make a motion that the adopt the resolution having the county executive of the Chapter 381 agreement with the San Antonio Vieira LLC concerning the development of Vieira Public District Number 1, addressing the matters in connection with the rest of the information.
I have a motion and a second to adopt a resolution authorizing Medina County's execution of a Chapter 381 agreement with San Antonio Vieira LLC concerning the development of the Vieira Public Improvement District Number 1 and addressing the other matters therewith. Any further discussion? I would just also like to say, Clay, thank you so much. I know how hard you work on these agreements. Thank you to the commissioners. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes to get one of these done. And we appreciate y'all working hard for everybody. Thank you. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Winford. Thank you all. Be careful on your way.
Sure will.
You just need to take over there.
What's that?
You just need to take over there. All water.
Okay, item number 5, we have visitor and public comments, and we do have multiple this morning. So the first one I have is Mr. Tom Oswald.
Good morning. Thank you for your time today. I just wanted to, I've been made aware of the situation with the Hondo Volunteer Fire Department. I actually was having coffee with my dad, and a story came on KSAT 12 about it being disbanded. I've done some research. I don't know that I have the full story, but I'm concerned. As I understand it, we have 3 people now that are manning the fire department that are being paid more than the volunteer fire department was being contributed to. I'm also concerned that the ESD has accumulated something in the neighborhood of $8 million. Is that correct? $8 million? I mean, if they're not needing to spend the money on emergency services, why aren't we getting a tax cut? I mean, I don't understand the need for such a large accumulation of funds in an ESD. And so I am here, looking for some answers. But from what I have uncovered thus far, it seems like poor stewardship of county tax dollars. And I respect every single one of y'all, and don't say that lightly, but this does not appear to be good government to me. And so I just wanted to come and say my piece. I have lived in Medina County for 35 years now, and I've never spoke before Commissioner's Court before. But this has really concerned me, and I'd really like some answers of why this has taken the path that it has. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. The next we have is Nelson Royce.
Good morning, I'm Nelson Royce, area farmer and business owner, and I'm also a concerned citizen that doesn't completely understand the recent disbanding of the Hondo Volunteer Fire Department. However, I had a personal encounter with the new setup just last weekend with the ESD 6 firefighters and using volunteer firefighters equipment. And we had a small combine fire on my property on the 23rd of November. And not uncommon to me, on my property and other properties, we encounter equipment fires. We kind of know how to handle them, but usually what happens is we will go get our water tank and simultaneously we'll call 911, as well as people we know on the volunteer fire department. And Philip Schulman was helping me that day, and right away he got on the phone and called Jonathan Schilling, not realizing that he couldn't help him. And so then called 911. By the time the ESD 6 firefighters came on the scene, we had it under control with our own water tank. And we asked them, we were almost out of water, and I said, well, I'm going to go refill. If y'all can just help us knock out the hot spots. My kids were out in the field putting out hot spots that had fallen off the combine and were burning in the sesame field. And I said, I really need to get out there and help them. So all they had was shovels. And And so I left, got my water, came back, and they had only brought 200 gallons of water to this equipment and field fire, and they were out of water. And I have a picture on my phone of I handed the wand to Philip Shulman. He's washing the underside of the combine, hit the hot spots, get the smoke out, and the 2 firefighters are standing there watching. And I can show you that picture. And that was alarming to me. It was concerning because, like I said, I have encountered many of these situations, and we know how to handle them, and I always had confidence that the volunteer firefighters knew how to get to the scene in a timely manner, and they knew how to fight it, and they brought the right amount of water, they brought the right equipment, and they took care of the job. And they welcomed help, but they took the lead on fighting those fires. And so I am concerned about the issue of public safety as well as the government waste involved with using solely the ESD to help protect fire in this area. And so I believe that there's got to be an answer here where we can co-op and have reinstate the volunteer fire department as well as having the ESD there as backup. And there's got to be something we can do for funding for both. Thank you.
Next, Philip, that's you.
Morning. I'm Philip. I'm president of Hondo Fire Department, also a captain. Been in and out since 1996. I've got some paperwork I'd like to give you guys. I know it's a lot. If y'all would take it, look at it at your own leisure. And I've got something I want to read, and hopefully I can run ahead of time. I do apologize.
Jennifer, will you set
So I'm sure everybody's heard what's going on between the fire department and ESD, and I'm here about what the ESD is doing to us. And so I wrote something I'd like to read to you. It says, as an emergency service district has a clear responsibility to utilize its powers and stable funding to improve fire and medical response times, ensure funding for volunteers and other fire and EMS departments, assist local entities in enhancing their services. This in turn saves lives, protects property, and reduces costs for local residents. Unfortunately, Medina County Emergency Services District 6 has failed to meet these goals, leaving our community in a precarious situation. The actions of the ESD board raise serious concerns. Their disregard for community input, secretive decision-making, reckless practices, and controversial actions demand immediate change. These factors left the Hondo Volunteer Fire Company no choice but to terminate our agreement with the ESD in hopes of negotiating a new contract that would allow us to continue providing the necessary services to our citizens. While Medina County ESD 6 collects substantial revenue from local taxes, an estimated $1.9 million last year, only a minimal portion of that is allocated to the safety and well-being of our community. For example, HVFC receives less than $63,000 a year in operational funding. This in stark contrast to the significant sums that ESD collects. In your package, you'll find both the proposed 2024 budget submitted by HVFC and an approved ESD budget for the fiscal year of 2023-24. As of this morning, the ESD has still not posted their current budget for fiscal 2024 as required by law. Additionally, none of their meeting minutes since July have been made public. This raises questions: what are they hiding? Several decisions by the ESD board over the years raised concerns that should be made public. Number one, conflict of interest. Shane Blythe is paid thousands of dollars to do mechanic work on our fire trucks, and his father is the president of the ESD board. Number two, there was a questionable land deal. Number three, the paid fire chief, that they want, the ESD plans to hire a paid fire chief. We've been doing this for over 100 years for nothing. 115 years, as a matter of fact. They're raising taxes while hoarding the reserves. ESD raised the tax rate while holding multi-million dollars in the bank. Increased payments to ESD1. ESD6 is paying ESD1 nearly $100,000 a month for staffing, adding unnecessary costs when Hondo Fire could do it directly. We appreciate the temporary coverage by ESD1, but the Hondo Volunteer Company has been an integral part of our community since 1909. HVFC has always operated as a fully volunteer organization with as many members possessing more experience and training than the paid firefighters currently assigned to our area. Historically, HVFC responds to calls with 6 to 10 firefighters, sometimes as many as 15 to 20, allowing us to handle multiple calls simultaneously without burdening neighboring districts. This level of capability and commitment is why HVSC feels the need to speak out until the ESD negotiates a revised agreement focused on the safety and well-being of the community. The residents of Medina County ESD 6 will continue to suffer. Despite our efforts to negotiate and be fair and a balanced contract, the ESD board has refused to engage with HVFC. When we have requested meetings to discuss the terms, they are told there was no room for negotiation. HVFC's attorney has strongly advised against the signing of the contract. The contract implies that the HVFC will be absorbed by the ESD, with the fire chief having full control, including over personnel decisions. The contract shifts all liability to HVFC while ESD assumes none. ESD 6 plans to start billing for fire services, effectively double charging taxpayers who already fund the department through the taxes. HVFC has never charged our residents for anything. Yeah, I've got one more paragraph. The contract which has been provided to the commissioners is not in the best interest of the community. The support from our community has been overwhelming. A petition has been started. We've got 140 signatures in a week. And we just ask the commissioners, please listen to the people, ensure the fair practices within the ESD, and restore the Hondo Volunteer Fire Company to its rightful place as a cornerstone in the community. And that's what I have to say. And I appreciate y'all's time.
Next up, we have Jennifer Lindsay.
How's it going, y'all? My name's Jennifer Lindsay. I've been here since, I was a kid. I would like to expand on a few of his points as well. The ESD is currently paying ESD 1's firefighters, there are 3 of them, which as you've heard is a cluster. They're paying them over $600,000, around $600,000 in 6 months. We didn't even ask for that much in the fiscal year. We were given 60% for a year, a fiscal year, when they are of what they've gotten for 6 months, or will be getting for 6 months. It's an atrocity, it's ridiculous, and it's flat out stupid. Through my short time with the Hondo Volunteer Fire Company, I have seen what we don't see these days called altruism, and this is when you throw your own personal health and safety and opinions and all that aside to go help out other people, things like that. And none of these guys want recognition. None of these guys want payment. None of these guys want to raise our taxes so that we can go out and fight fires and serve our community. Thanks for stopping that. Sorry, I'm loud. I'm nervous. This is crazy. I'm standing in front of a bunch of folks I don't know. This is weird for me, and I have a speech impediment, for God's sakes. There's firefighters in this room who went to 9/11 for no reason other than to help out folks. Like I was saying, altruism. We don't see it in work these days. Folks don't even let you get out of your driving lane on the highway any longer. These guys want to go out and fight a combine fire for no reason other than, hey, he needs help. Let's go help him. Okay? Like Philip was also expanding on, they have $8 million in a bank account we don't see a dime of. No one knows where it goes. No one knows how much is in there and where it's being spent. I don't know how they're paying their attorney, which I think is also against ESD bylaws as put forth by the state of Texas. Hold on, I gotta check my notes. Yep, I did that. I can see it. The point I would like to make is that we were called unprofessional by several people in the community that have seemed to side with the ESD board, when the professionals stood there and watched a man's combine get on fire and his kids were doing more work than they were. Okay? We don't need this unnecessary drama in this area. We don't need the extra taxes. We don't need the people of Hondo not knowing the folks showing up to help them at their house. We don't need the people in our area not knowing if there's going to be help. We also, the thing that bugs me the most is the lack of transparency, the lack of communication, and the outright disrespect of this firefighting company. And a lot of these guys have been doing this, their family's been doing this for decades. It's disgusting, and I feel the disrespect needs to stop. I feel personally, this isn't a representative of what they all think, that the ESD board needs to be overhauled or removed, or something needs to change drastically, because this is an atrocity. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay, next, Dean Clark.
Good morning. I'm a member of the Volunteer Fire Company as well, but my approach is going to be a little bit different. Transparency and oversight are the words of the day. And from a realistic standpoint, the lack of transparency of this ESD board and the numerous violations that can be read on the Texas ESD website committed by this board are public knowledge. If you have as much money sitting in the bank as you do, and it's specifically for emergency services, yet you give a volunteer fire department a $63,000 annual budget and say, hey, whatever you guys need throughout the year, just submit a budget amendment. Give us three, if you need equipment, give us 3 bids from 3 contractors, 3 providers. But I'd say probably over half of those in my short time here were denied, declined, or received with smart aleck remarks by the board members that were appointed by this body in front of me. Oversight. Let's talk about oversight. Newly elected or entrenched in this panel for years, wherever you sit, wherever you stand in front of me, the lack of oversight by the appointed body that was elected by the constituents of this county is abhorrent. You're out here worried about how many tax dollars you're going to bring into this county with all these new developments, not worried about the lack of infrastructure. And you have an ESD board running amok, doing whatever they'd like to do, spending the money however they'd like to, and being on record when we request equipment with smart remarks about, I could buy a house for that. See, the problem is a lot of people in positions of power, not all, but some, have never sacrificed an ounce of themselves or their lives for the freedom that they enjoy. Ever. While they oversee the constituents that they were elected by and forgetting their civic duty. So whoever on this panel appointed these people over this ESD board and are supposed to be having oversight or overseeing them has failed in their civic duty to the constituents who put them in the very chair that they sit in, while they rule over us in a part-time position and get paid with our tax dollars. Thank you.
Excellent. That's all of the ones and Liz, you're going to speak at the item, right? At the agenda item.
Sorry?
You want to speak at the agenda item, right?
At the agenda. That's going to be number 19.
Correct. Okay, so that's all of the public comments for now. Again, in public comments, we do not do responses. Somebody was asking me earlier, though, for those that were here and speaking, I did look up and it does show there's an ESD meeting this evening, I believe, at 6:30. Is that correct? I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah.
And that's what it showed on the website. So I recommend that these same concerns that you brought and spoke with us about, that you go to that meeting this evening as well.
It's a regular session.
I know it's on in the building.
It's a closed session, close to the public.
It's a closed session meeting. It's for them, specifically for the board members.
specifically. It's not open.
They don't allow public comment in those.
Previously discussed violations.
I have not seen the agenda, so I can't speak to that, but I just looked it up, and it's tonight at 1616 Avenue N, Suite 107. Does that answer the question?
We waited an hour and 15 minutes out of the last one they had in their office, and they never opened the door once.
All right. Thank you all. Okay, next item number 6, discuss and take possible action to approve personnel action forms.
Morning, Commissioners. The first personal action form is for Deborah Graff, County Treasurer. New hire. Okay, the next one is for William Lay, Emergency Management, new hire. Wesley Williams, Sheriff's Office, increase within approved slot. Theodore Kim, Public Defender's Office, resignation. Talitha Weisner, Public Defender's Office, resignation.
I'll make a motion that we approve the personnel action forms. Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the personnel action forms. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 7, discuss and take possible action to approve an amendment to the classification and compensation statement of Michael Baker Kelly Advisory Group LP.
Okay, so this is an amendment to the original salary survey that I'd like to recommend specifically for the Sheriff's Office. So what this amendment is going to do is, or the scope of work is going to be really taking a look at pay differentials for law enforcement positions and taking them to market to see what the surrounding counties have as far as holiday pay, shift differentials, emergency pay, education pay, and certification pay. So they'll be doing this study like for the benefits for law enforcement for the Sheriff's Office. And I really would like to recommend that, especially because there's been a lot of dialogue about the holiday pay recently.
You know, I thought that's what I'm scared about. The rest of the county, we're going to be, each one of our departments competing against each other. I have a lot of issues over right now. Everybody says, well, I'm going to lose a job because I don't know and all this weapons. No, you're not going to lose a job. Y'all are putting each one of our employees against each other. It should have been surrounding areas for each county employee. I don't care what our employees make. What bothers me is what they're paying the bulk of the material, what they're paying the market together. Instead of the knowledge our people in our department have.
No,
You fill it out.
that's fine, but what we did is it wasn't to, but it was not to go against every other employee. It's to get.
Every employee feel like that. Every department had.
Well, no, I didn't.
At the employee level, we didn't share anybody else's information, or HR didn't share any information.
I'm not going to put anybody against anybody else.
Well, that was not the intention. This is something that y'all approved, first of all. Okay. No, well, you approved it. It was in the budget. And it's the same salary study that's been done over the years several times. This is the third one. The only difference is getting the actual employees' input in. That's all it is. It's not to put other employees against each other, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. But, well, no, I didn't hear anything about that, so nobody called me about that. And I did answer a lot of questions about it. So I know that one of the commissioners did have their department fill all the different employees filled out their information. And it wasn't, it's basically so we can get the data to get everybody's responsibilities and then turn around and take that. If you don't fill it out, it's hard to get any kind of data from you. So if it wasn't filled out, if we got the data from these different departments and the clerk's positions, for whatever position it is, we take that data, and this company is going to be the one to be comparing it to the different counties, to taking it to market. So this has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the sheriff's office, and it has to do with the different, whether there's a certification pay, kind of comparing all that with the different counties surrounding us.
Their structure different on their 86-hour pay schedule, which is totally different than everybody else in the county.
And then put an additional $2,500 to do that.
Yes, and it's in the budgets because we allotted for that.
I'll make a motion that we approve an amendment to the classification and compensation study for North Baker City Providers.
Have a motion and second to approve the amendment to the classification compensation study agreement with Baker City Advisory Group LP. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I have a couple more questions for Ruby.
Sorry.
We're approving an amendment for the extra $2,500, specifically to look at what you were saying was holiday pay, some of the certification fees to other police officers and other similar type agencies like the Medina County Sheriff's Department. Do they get an extra amount for being better qualified?
Correct.
How much information did you get from the Sheriff's Office with the initial request for the employees to fill out the survey?
I was able to, I sat down with them for a whole day. And they sent me the information finally. So I did get quite a bit of feedback once I was able to sit down with them and kind of go over it with them, help them, because I mean they're a big department. So once we were able to do that, I was able to get a lot of information, feedback from them. My understanding is what they did is they combined, like the sergeants all just did one. And I don't see a lot of these that were done online, like the paper versions. Yes, I can see, but I haven't seen any of the online ones, so I can't tell you what specifically they put on there. But as far as the jail, I mean, I was able to still get jail information as of last week. I mean, I was really trying to push them to send me this information because it's hard to compare them if we don't have the data. So we were able to finally get at least one PAQ for every position in there except for one, and that was really working with them.
Okay. Without the information and the primary tasks that each of the employees within the Sheriff's Department do, it's very hard to get a comparable amount from other counties, because other counties are going to have basic entry-level police officer. They have level cutters, basically.
Right.
More years of experience, have higher certifications, so on and so forth. And that's almost the way you look at a pay scale for a person, even if they have the same job title. I just wanted to make sure that you're getting that initial information from the Sheriff's Office before we go back and spend another $2,500 with Baker Tilly, and you're going to have to spend more of your time trying to pull these information.
So that's a good question. The initial questionnaire that will be sent to the different agencies, I did send it out. Initially, I did not get any feedback back. So I sent it out to a couple of sergeants that I've kind of worked with in the past, and they had some good suggestions. So, I mean, I don't have very much to go by except for kind of like what I've received from them. And they did suggest I add a couple things or change a couple things, and I did. I went in and I looked at everything because I don't know how they operate. I'm doing the best I can here. But they're the best ones to be able to answer some of these questions. So they did give me that feedback, and I think this is the best, and I ran it past Baker Tilly to make sure that, you know, is this common? Are these some of the questions that y'all see? And they agreed. So there was nothing crazy that was being asked for with this questionnaire.
Yeah, early on, I could encourage them to, like the patrol, to get together, like do one together, so it's like they're all doing the same thing. So number-wise, we got like a lot less, because there's, how many patrolmen are there? 26, 30 of them, for example, they sit in, combining on all those, but you didn't have to work with them. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8, discuss and take possible action to approve accounts payable.
Good morning. All right, so accounts payable, the expenses were $497,180.48, and 2 wires in the amounts of $27.34.34.
Just, I don't know if I told you, if I mentioned it before, just for the court's attention, because in emergency management, I saw it mentioned there for a generator repair, $3,900. We had a really big lightning strike on that tower in Idaho, so it's an insurance claim involved on it. That generator is just a part of it, but we had multiple repeaters. As of Tuesday, it still wasn't 100% back up. They had get new repeaters on another part bad, so I'm not sure if it's back up, but it was a sizable amount, probably $30,000.
Okay, so
It's on 540, page 6, the 3969. That's just the generator repair. It's nothing to do with the radio portion.
will we see the expenses for the radio portion later on?
Yes, we
Because
will.
that will be expensive.
Yeah, it'll be expensive. There, like I said, we've got the insurance claim and process and all that being dealt with. They haven't given us a bill yet because they don't have a repair done. And we didn't even know how much on the quote because the repeaters had to be sent back in the lower for repair.
Commissioners, just for transparency purposes, there's a couple of expenses that we've paid on behalf of the Sheriff's Office for the Hurricane Helene effort. In this AP packet, there's a JP Morgan invoice that's for like $1,100-1,200, but the county's only paying $197 for it. Brown Santa did cut a check that we are going to mail out to JP Morgan for the remainder of the expenses. And then we've had in a different AP, P Fleet for fuel. We did use county funds for that, but Brown Santa did reimburse the county already. And then we had another expense for Lowe's for plastic containers. again, there was a check cut directly from Brown Santa to Lowe's, so no county funds were using that. Just wanted to be transparent on those expenses.
I make the motion that we approve the accounts payable with the exception of the 051 fund on page 10 and the 097 fund on page 11.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the accounts payable with the exception of the 051 and 097 funds. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9, discuss and take possible action to approve disbursement of funds since last Commissioners Court meeting.
All right, distribution since the last Commissioners Court is $1,608.61. Utilities.
I'll make a motion that we approve the disbursement of those funds from utilities.
Have a motion and a second to approve the disbursement of funds since the last Commissioners Court meeting. Other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 10, discuss and take possible action to approve a proposal from Texas Association of Counties for renewal of liability insurance.
It's a lot. So you and I talked, Keith. We actually sent back to TAC after I got a memo from Gray, which is our consulting firm. First time I really looked at this was a big cumbersome type thing, but it is changing is, I guess, the biggest part of it. They are taking the liability, the cyber part out in 2024. It was all lumped together. And so the new TAC wording is what Gray brought up to our attention. And they pulled the cyber part of it out of that policy, and it's now a line item on that. And so policy, the way he proposed it, is going up $72,000 from last year. No difference in coverages, no different than anything else other than pulling the cyber. Premiums went up, but then it's a $13,000 increase from just the cyber. And then he brought up the difference in, they have a $25,000 one, and he thought it should be higher. He thought it should be $100,000. So I sent back to TAC asking what they thought on that, and I have not received that information. So they said it would take a little bit. They'd have to do it to their underwriter to be able to say what the premiums difference would be. We can accept this as is with the way it's written. He had also some questions on malpractice. And so then late Wednesday, I guess, I got the packet or whatever for the jail itself, their administrator, which, sent it to him. He looked at it. He, again, feels like the wording that TAC did changed from 24 to 25. And so he's worried about the positions that are actually covered, because that's what this is. Who is covered where? And so, like I said, in my 5 days, I'm dealing with this. But it's been interesting. It's been a lot. It's been a big project. So I guess the biggest thing is we're waiting. If we want to change the policy, we're waiting for information back from TAC. Or if we want to approve the way it is, it would be the $25,000.
So basically what Debbie's saying is that the biggest change to the policy is that cyber portion of the liability. They've broken it out. It used to be under the elected officials portion. They broke it out, so I guess theoretically you would expect that the elected officials would go down, but no, instead it would still go back up, and then they added the cybersecurity under it. If we're comparing apples to apples, what we had last year to what we had this year, the policy did increase by $60,000. And then you add the additional
coverage, just premium.
Yes, just premiums. And then if you add the additional $12,000 for the cyber. That's the $72,000 that we spoke about. We are going to reach out and see if we can go from the $25,000 to the $100,000. But we don't know what that's going to cost. Our recommendation would be to accept it how it is right now, and then based on the changes, we can bring that to court and see if y'all want to make that change.
What is the total cost, the total increase percentage?
Total increase of the policy?
From what was last year, 60 or 72,000?
$72,297.
What percentage of that what we paid last year?
The total premium.
Total premium.
What's the total premium?
I got it, 5% all four.
It says how much the premium changed due to the change of the county's premium rate, $49,000.
18%.
Yeah.
18%. Mine personally went up to 22% across the board.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, that increase isn't as much as you're paying an additional premium for the cyber now. They've pulled that out. That is no longer available in the policy. If you want that coverage or any coverage, you have to pay an additional premium.
My rental stuff went up 25%, my personal stuff went up 22%. Very much more, no question that. I don't know what to say.
And there's a lot of caveats to it. I've reached out to other people, the banks, talked to the president of the bank, just in a conversation. He doesn't really feel as strongly about it. He said, you can check 9 of the 10 boxes and they're going to find a way out of it. Just another piece of information. I don't know if increasing his help. Gray did actually say one time, he said, if you put $25,000 there, that's what they'll ask for. You put 100, they're going to ask for the $100,000 because they know what the policy max is. So there's a lot on this.
I did want to point out just 2 other things in there. In the list of item 3, talked about liability policy, excluding actions, physicians and all other healthcare professionals other than jail nurses and emergency medical technicians who are employed by the county. Said it's never been tax intent to provide coverage to these persons. In our case, we have a jail medical contract, and so that's outside of this. Anyways, we have a contract with the provider. We did in the past. We didn't have a contract.
And I did send that after I got to Gray, and he did review it. He didn't have much comment after that, other than was thankful that he could see it.
And then the last item is just on the sheriff seized vehicles. They clarified in here, which I was surprised to think that would have ever been an option, but if the vehicle's been seized, that it's not covered like a hailstorm or something like that, it doesn't belong to the county. It's a seized vehicle. It still belongs to whoever owns that vehicle until whatever point that the court would award it. And at that point, it belongs to the county and it would be covered. But specifically, anything that's in seizure status is not covered by the policy.
Yeah, he asked if they were indoors or outdoors. I mean, he asked several questions about it, but,
Definitely outdoors.
Outdoors.
98% of them probably are outdoors.
Did Mr. Gray have a final recommendation for us?
He did send this back as his final draft, the one that we put in.
Do y'all have those exhibits?
No, it didn't.
Exhibit B.
You have it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, based on my comments, I'm recommending that Medina County accept tax liability and WC renewal proposals for coverage to be effective for the period of 1/1/25 through 26. And consider increasing the limits of cyber extortion coverage once proposed by TAC. So there is recommendation that we accept.
I'll make a motion to accept Gray's recommendation. That's what we hired for. And my personal self-insurance, 18% ain't bad.
Okay.
Does the 18% include the cyber?
No, just 60. Didn't you do it?
No, I did.
No, it does.
Oh, you did on the 17th. Okay.
You did it on the 17th.
The only thing it doesn't include is if they come back on the $25,000
increase.
they could increase that. That's not included.
And really, I'd like y'all's recommendation. Do you feel like it needs to go up, or should we just stay with?
Well, I think let's see what they bring
Back.
and then we'll
Okay.
bring that back.
Thank you for going through this.
Welcome.
We deal with a lot of money here.
It was
When they say 60,000, it's just, we pay $1 million a year.
Yeah.
It's not that much money, it seems like more, it's kind of a sad state, it really is.
Yeah, well, the whole policy will be $469,000.
Okay, have a motion and a second to approve the proposal from TAC for the renewal of the liability insurance. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11, discuss and take possible action to adopt a resolution amending authorized representatives with tax tool investments.
I think you have all that paperwork, don't you?
Yeah, so this is just the where we do our text pool, and it's adding Deborah's signature to this to be able to work with text pool.
I'll move that we adopt the resolution amending the authorized representatives of tax pool investments.
Have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution amending the authorized representatives with tax pool investments. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11, discuss and take possible action to approve the county treasurer's monthly report.
All right, we're talking report from the month of October. Dade County's combined cash funds was $18,969,711.41. And the month ending debt owed was $22,795,000. And we are still missing September's from the sheriff's office. This included August, but we still have September out.
Have a motion and a second to approve the county treasurer's monthly report. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 12, discuss and take possible action to release construction bond number 0832495 for Valley Oak subdivision, phase 2, located in precinct 1 on County Road 241.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Dan Mullins with Sutherland Medina, land, the owner of this. And we've went through, built everything. We met with Commissioner Siglione, went over some comments of hers, and I believe we've made her happy with all the comments.
We had an initial walkthrough of the project. And there was a couple of unfinished things. Guardrail on a cross culvert, some minor regrading of ditches, and then really, I think the majority of it was just making sure that along the edges of the road there was a 3-to-1 slope or flat, so in case if somebody runs off the road, there's the ability for safe recovery. All of my comments were written down at that time, and then when we went back 2 weeks ago, all of those comments were addressed. So I will make a motion to release the construction bond number 0832495 for Valley Oaks subdivision phase 2.
I have a motion and a second to release the construction bond number 0832495 for Valley Oaks subdivision phase 2 located at precinct 1. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 13, discuss and take possible action to release maintenance bonds and accept county roads for the following units in Hunter's Ranch subdivision located in precinct 2. Maintenance bond number 3197966, unit 2, and then number 206279 for unit 3.
I'll make the motion to go ahead and release the maintenance bonds for unit 2 and unit 3 in Hunter's Ranch subdivision.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to release the maintenance bond and accept the county roads for our Hunter's Ranch subdivision, unit 2 and unit 3.
I've got one thing. Jennifer, could you get a copy of the Texas Research Park agreement with Medina County and give it to Jessica? I got it somewhere in my office, but I think you probably find it a whole lot easier. It's an interlocal agreement. Now, she just wanted to read over some stuff that went through 13 years ago, 10 years ago. It was part of San Antonio, and then with the Texas Research Park had bought it, and it was in the ETJ, and then they wanted to leave it with city specifications, which I had no problems at the time. It went through about a 2-year legal battle. Finally, this is what the answer is. And it's a short agreement. They don't have a whole lot of reason to understand where we're at on this one particular subdivision. The rest of our subdivisions increase into today are 100% maintained by an HOA by financial farm. So this will be the last of the subdivisions that I have that we actually have in maintenance.
Any other discussion?
I guess my only question is, just kind of the way it's worded, you're not accepting these for county maintenance.
Yes, we are.
You are accepting these for county maintenance.
Yes, this last subdivision, the only subdivision I have that was spelled out in a lawsuit that we would be taking these over.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, that's it. They are county roads, and they're pretty good shape.
Okay, very good.
Like I said, the city had a 1-year maintenance bond with the city of San Antonio, and then the county had a 2-year, and this is ending with the 2 years. I'm pretty sure it looks like there might be almost to the end of the subdivision as far as street goes.
Okay.
1,400 street houses sold out in a year.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Discuss and take possible action to rescind the October 7, 2024 order approving the amended plat due to the incorrectly submitted lot layout and approve the correct version of the amended plat that is consistent with the April 15, 2024 replat, which will reflect the current lot layout for Amanda Park Phase 1, located in Precinct 2 on County Road 381.
I don't see the engineer here, but what we allocated the last commission over this, we went from a meets and bounds to an acreage type, so they get caught up with it, and I'm sure that's what's that. I think our Maggie was in here on that part of that discussion, but they went from meets and bounds to acreage. And to me, it's saying that it's really don't make no difference, so whatever they want to bid on there, I'll find it either way. I'll make a motion that we approve an order amending the plat due to incorrect submitting of the layout and approve the correct version.
It happens to be specific.
Okay. And approve the correct version of the, I don't have the correct version here, plat that was submitted on April 15, 2024, replat.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, second, to approve the amended plat and approve the correct version of the amended plat that is consistent with the April 15, 2024 replat of the Amanda Park subdivision located at precinct 2. Any other discussion?
Yeah, so that means they went from what they want to change to what they want to change to the last board meeting, and now going back to April 15th, that we okayed about 6 months ago.
Well, they had attempted to amend the plat just to add some lot labels and that type of thing. When they submitted it to amend it, they accidentally submitted the wrong lot layout. So the April 15th or April 2024 replat that was approved, that was the correct lot layout. And so the amendment was just strictly to add some lot labels. They just did it to the wrong version. So.
I wish the engineer was here so they heard that.
So this is just more housekeeping, rescinding that prior order, approving the amended plat, and then approving the correct amendment.
And at the end of the day, however we amend this thing, either the version or the old version, it's the same thing on paper. One is meet the balance, one is the survey.
Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 15, discuss and take possible action to approve an annual service agreement with Tech 84 for the full platinum scanner for the jail. This year is the big scanner where they come in that does the full body scan. If they got any paraphernalia or whatever, it's able to detect it. It's like the X-ray machine. And this is the service agreement for it. And then the $10
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the annual service agreement with Tech 84, the whole body scanner for the jail. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 16, discuss and take possible action to approve Amendment 1 to the agreement with Firefighters LLC to include Exhibit A, statement of work and associated rates for the jail. As you have in there, it's one page, and this will be able to do site evaluations, competency evaluations on the incarcerated people in our jail, and the amount is $250 per hour is the charge.
I make a motion to approve Amendment 1 to the agreement with Firefighters LLC to include Exhibit A, statement of work, and associated rates for the jail.
Have a motion and a second to approve Amendment 1 to the agreement with Firefighters LLC to include Exhibit A. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 17, discuss and take possible action to accept the Chapter 59 asset forfeiture report submitted by the Sheriff's Office for 2024. Sarah?
Morning, how are y'all today? All right, so the first one is the Chapter 59 asset forfeiture. It's just our local forfeiture and seizure that's required to be reported to the Attorney General's office every year. This is just our typical finance compliance report and running numbers just to submit based off what we did for the previous fiscal year.
discuss accepting the introduction and approve the report.
I'll make a motion that we accept the Chapter 59 asset forfeiture report submitted by the Sheriff's Office for 2024.
Second. Have a motion and second to accept the Chapter 59 asset forfeiture report submitted by the Sheriff's Office for 2024. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 18, discuss and take possible action to approve the equitable sharing report submitted by the Sheriff's Office for 2024.
Equitable share is essentially the same thing, just on the federal level, that we are mandated to report every single year as well. So it includes all the financial aspects of what came out of the equitable share funds.
I make the motion that we approve the equitable sharing report submitted by the Sheriff's Office for 2024.
Have a motion and a second to approve the equitable sharing report submitted by the Sheriff's Office for 2024. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Item number 19, discuss and take possible action to update the standardized ESD application adopted November 18, 2024. Ms. Carlisle, if you come forward. So we put this back on, we had it on the last agenda, and Mr. Carlisle has been trying to sort some stuff out for a year on this application. And so we put it back on. I put it as an agenda item, so the report, and I know I've kind of turn around and much conversation, and I've given this to Maggie from the beginning, so she's come back and I guess looked at it at least 3 times and before.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, so with that in mind,
I do have a question. On the public participation form, I did see where the rules did point out there's a 3-minute time limit. On the public participation form, nor on the agenda, does it state that? And also on the on the rules of decorum, it says, unless a member of the public is requested to address the Commissioner's Court on a particular issue, which would infer that if the Commissioner's Court has a question for me, then we would be able to have an interaction. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's not considered as an agenda item.
Okay, wonderful.
It's not just another register.
Okay. So in fact, with the Court's permission, I'd like to approach and pass this out. These are the rules from last year in accordance with safety. And that's the calendar that all safety boards have to, sorry, I had a rotator cuff surgery, and so my arm's a little. I served as commissioner for 16 years. We started off back in 2010 with this book. Mine is the 2019 because I passed out all the new ones to the new commissioners on ESD 5, which is over Natalia, and a portion of Lyra and a portion of Divine. This is the book now. I would like to confirm, did y'all receive the packet that I sent? Were y'all able to review it? Okay. So on the application, then you'll see where there were several places that I highlighted. On the suggested application, it would say suggested like this, just across the top. On the very first portion, rather than put down that the information you provide in this form is public, it would be this, just like this one, sir. Yes.
It's not printed.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so, yeah, it's on the email that I did remit to all. The information you provide in this form, the way it currently states, it says is public. I would like to see if you would be willing to edit that to read, and any attachments are subject to open records. ESD 5, when we submitted our resumes and our applications last year in December, I know that you all know that there were some errors made. ESD 5 was the only ESD who had all of their public information, their resumes, their certifications, the actual application, with no redactions. were placed on the website under agenda packet. Ms. Adlong caught it and was able to remove it. So I think if we were to make it private and subject to public record and subject to redaction of personal information, address, phone number for the ones that are not chosen to be commissioners. There was one question changed, and that was the only question changed. And that one is question D, to currently state, are you currently in arrears in your property taxes? Where it used to say, have you ever been? And I did speak with you, sir, about the reason that was changed, and I did not think that was fair. I think that if one question was going to be changed, then some of the other ones should be changed. There's also unlimited questions on litigation, adverse party and litigation in Medina County. And it says, have you ever been? On my suggestion, I would change that to 5 years or to whatever term that y'all say would be adequate for an ESD commissioner to place in there. People change quite a bit in the number of 5 years to 10 years. Tax lien ever filed against you? Has a tax lien been filed? Just because one has had a tax lien in the past 5 years doesn't mean that they've made every diligent effort to catch up and be current within the past 5 years. And if they have been, then I think that should be looked at and considered. The other one is, have you ever filed for bankruptcy for bankruptcy? I would ask that perhaps 10 years be on there, because we are fiduciary stewards of the taxpayers' money. Have you ever been a party, plaintiff, or defendant in litigation? That is redundant, because you're already asking all of those questions above. That is going to be under section 2. Yes, the one in orange. And then y'all also have the question of, have you ever been arrested? That would remove the innocent until proven guilty on any application. I have attached the Texas Workforce Commission that advises against that. I have attached the equal employment opportunity that says that is an impermissible question. You can put down, and here's what my suggestion is, during the past 5 years, have you been convicted or pled guilty or no contest to a felony offense? Which is pretty much exactly as the state of Texas is asking. I do understand that this application came from Bexar County. No two counties are alike, as I'm sure you know. And if you've seen one ESD, then you've seen one ESD, because no two ESDs are alike. I do have the attachments in your packet from the Texas Workforce Commission, from the EEOC. All of that was submitted into the packet. And I do have the bullet points that I spoke of. Bexar County has a population of 2,087,679. Medina County has a population of 55,937. We are a very tight community, and I think that we are the best county in Texas. There's 254 counties. I served on safety board at the accelerating, going all the way up to I am past president. I served in the ESD, as I said, for 16 years. I've been around the state teaching and helping at conferences, and at A&M I had to become certified as an instructor so that we could teach ESD law. I would think it would be great for one of y'all to have someone who would like to go to one of those safety courses, the conferences. It's going to be at Kalahari this year, to see what it entails. The court has the opportunity to appoint commissioners who want what's best for their district. Not to just lower taxes or what's cheapest, but commissioners who know the needs of the district, the reason the ESDs were created, and the promises that were made during the petitions, elections, and the ever-changing landscape in these droughts, and the needs of our career and volunteer firefighters. Professionals are all firefighters. If you want to differentiate between volunteer and paid, you do not call them professional or volunteer. They're all professional. You call them career or volunteer. Every time they leave their home, it could be your home, your child, your life, your memories that they're saving. When making a choice for ESD commissioners, the relationship between the ESD and first responders is critical. Law enforcement, firefighters, and EMTs are important to help a board understand the services that are needed. When most ESDs in Medina County were created, there were promises made regarding the safety of the residents and the taxpayers in the district, providing the best services, protection, and reducing the property insurance rates to offset the tax rate imposed by the ESD, but also to respect the rank and file of the volunteers who worked diligently to create these ESDs. It was a sweat equity that they put forth. They saw the need for the Commissioners Court to not have to decide whether the sheriff or the fire would receive those tax dollars, and it lifted a burden from this Commissioners Court. 10 cents per 100. If you have a $200,000 home, you're paying $200 a year for someone to go in and save your most precious children, life, memories. It is incumbent upon the Board of Emergency Services Commissioners to know the bylaws of the service providers and to know the codes, 551, 775, Texas Health and Safety Codes. If our fire department, if we ask them for their bylaws, they're able to present it. That gives us an idea of what their training is. I personally do not believe that a fire department, that an ESD should ever be told to a fire department, you can submit whatever budget you want, but we're cutting your budget. We should allow them to submit the budget that they need, and we meet their needs with what we can. Because otherwise you're asking an ESD to cut their training, their personal protection equipment, their apparatus. You want to make sure that they have what they need. But if they don't meet the budget, if the ESD does not meet the budget of the fire department, then they still have the ability to collect funds, collect donations. That's how they get the Texas Forestry grants. And a lot of people don't realize that. They have to be able to show that the ESD is not providing 100% of the funding. We just had our fire department was able to get us a grant truck, a $400,000 grant truck, for which 50% of it was paid by the Texas Forestry, because we don't provide 100% of their funding, and we do not ask them to reduce their budget. I personally would like to ask the court to please appoint commissioners who are not just wanting to reduce the tax rate, but those who have a heart to serve. When one of our commissioners that y'all appointed, and then you reappointed, we had a large grass fire. He took his daughter and they went and delivered water and electrolyte drinks to the firefighters who were fighting that big grass fire. That's instilling the next generation to show and appreciate what these firefighters do. 2 months after appointment, Ms. Reina Vasquez, as y'all may know, completely lost her home. She said she was in her house and suddenly saw the open flames. When she walked back into her home, there was no roof. She watched our firefighters, volunteers, professionals, go in there and fight that house fire. Our commissioners need to have a relationship where they can speak not just to the chiefs, the assistant chiefs, lieutenants, but where they can interact with the firefighters and develop that relationship. If there's a problem with command on the fire department, the rank and file are not just hearing one side of an issue. ESD is being heard as well. And with that, I would just say thank you for your time. I lost a home in 2002. I watched 3 fire departments, Divine, Lytle, and Natalia, save my home. The bones of my home were saved, and I was able to rebuild. When I was asked to join the ESD, it was an honor of my lifetime. And as you can see, laws, I would give you this book, but I am going to get y'all one. But this one has all my highlights and everything because I have kept up with it. But thank you for your time, and I hope that you would consider the changes I've recommended.
She brought both of those books and the changes in ESDs. What year was the first one?
2010.
2010 to
2024.
Yeah, so there's changes in the laws and stuff.
And then for here, that's just so that you can see for yourself what the guidelines in the calendar for 2024 is. All of that can also be found on the safety website. Under Resources Hub, towards the bottom, you'll be able to print out. It'll be a smaller version like this.
So if the board has any questions, after she pointed out her suggestion changes, Maggie, of course, I'm assuming, I don't know how much of this she's actually looked at, or I know she looked at the whole application multiple times, but I would yield to her for any other questions about specifics of the application. Again, we made multiple attempts at it, so Maggie, I don't know if this is something you want to take these and you want to take a look at, or...
We certainly can. I mean, I'm prepared to speak to a couple of the points. I know that the scope of the conversation kind of went beyond what's exactly on the agenda item for the public meeting, but I did look at the application in terms of the suggested changes. The Commissioner's Court authority as it relates to the ESDs is very limited. As y'all know, the ESDs are their own separate political subdivision. And so the county's authority, every county's authority comes from the legislature. And so the commissioners have very limited authority in terms of appointing ESD board members, removing them under very limited circumstances. And it is a very common practice for counties to reach out for legal resources, not just through the Texas District and County Attorneys Association, TAC, which is the Texas Association of Counties, and other counties in terms of seeing what resources we can share. It's not uncommon to share forms that are promulgated by these associations. I did speak at length with the attorney, the chief of staff for Bexar County in terms of their ESD board member appointment. He's been involved with that for over 15 years. He provided a lot of good insight on their practice. They've never had an issue with it. In terms of the application asking about things like adverse litigation, that's designed to make sure that we're not appointing someone who has a conflict of interest with the county. And then in terms of the time periods for those, we do encourage applicants to attach a sheet and to explain the circumstances if they feel like there's something that's important that they need to disclose. And it's not an automatic disqualifier. Of course, commissioners are going to look at these applications and look at the explanations. It's a factor to be considered. And so that's the point of those questions on the application. In terms of the arrest history of an applicant, what the U.S. Equal Employment of Opportunity Commission, or EEOC, states that employers can consider criminal records when they make the final decision about hiring. Specifically on arrest records, you can't refuse to hire people simply because they have been arrested, but there are situations where you can explore the person's conduct leading to the arrest and ask them to explain the circumstances. as we've heard here today by numerous people, the ESDs are stewards of sizable budgets, tax dollar money, or taxpayers' money. And so it is a position of fiduciary responsibility. And the county does have an obligation or a duty to appoint ESD board members who they feel like will be good stewards of the county's money. And that under the EEOC, the employer can decide whether the conduct is a reason not to hire someone. And so it absolutely is authorized. Most of the counties that I've looked at, I think it was Lubbock County, have doubled down on this approach in terms of not just requiring the questions in the application, but also doing a full criminal background search on applicants. Most of the criminal history information, it is public information. It is, unless a criminal charge has been expunged or is subject to a court's non-disclosure order, it's very easily pulled up in the public databases. In terms of volunteer organizations, a white paper that I looked at, the National Center for Victims of Crime did a study to find out what types of organizations screen volunteers, and it found that 86% of the organizations that they looked at, which were 517 different human service organizations, 86% screened their volunteers. And so that is an important factor. And then also in terms of the operating guide for the emergency services districts, as a political subdivision, the ESDs can sue and be sued. And in terms of limiting the liability of an ESD, their own operating guidelines, it encourages them to obtain annual criminal history and driving record checks on all applicants for employment with the ESD or a contracted emergency services provider. And so that's part of their own operating guidelines. And in terms of changing the language on the application from arrest history specifically to felonies, when you do that, you exclude misdemeanor charges or theft. And that is something extremely important to consider on an applicant, depending on the dollar amount that's involved. Some of those criminal charges for theft do fall under a misdemeanor criminal penal code offense. So the application is written as it's written for a reason. It has been thoroughly evaluated. We can certainly look at it once again based on the suggestions that have been presented here today, but there has been considerable thought in arriving at the application that we have.
If I may rebut very quickly, a company can ask about convictions, according to the EEOC, a company can ask about convictions in place of guilty or no contest. Under a law that requires such a question, do not ask about arrest, since the EEOC and the courts consider that to be a disparate impact on minorities. If an EEOC claim is filed, the employer must be prepared to show how the criminal record was relevant to the job in question, i.e., the employer must be able to explain the job relatedness to the offense. This is for a job where someone's being paid. You're asking these questions, these open-ended, have you ever, of someone who's willing to volunteer their time.
Okay, I got another problem here. I'm probably the one that got this ball started as getting an application from somebody. We had this issue last year with replacing some ESD members. I don't agree with her 100% on we can get rid of them. We can't get rid of them. And I believe we need to get rid of some countywide.
And the commissioner
anything that you have had for on here, on criminal, if you have past history, it doesn't say we can't hire them. Just yes or no. They don't say nothing in here we can't hire them. That's why it is recommended hear on the fact that the people haven't got their audit report in. That is an automatic dismissal of the president and secretary January 15th. That's automatic. So yes, we can't get rid of it. Every 2 years, there's another group of 2 or 3 come up, which have to be appointed. We do not have to ask them nothing. We don't have to ask them, do you want to run again? Say, I want you to run instead of you to run, and give no explanation. I read that ESD book, or the last 100 times. I know it's in that, and it's small. I know it's in that small, and I thank you for the work you have done. But as far as the current application, I hate to go in and gut our basic plan, because the answers, if you say yes or no for felony, for these convictions, for theft or whatever, it does not say we can't hire you. That's why if somebody comes up for volunteer, same thing. And you're right, this commissioner court appointment, I'm not going to vote against anybody that Danny Lawler appoints. I don't know these people. He lives with them. He's in their community. And these people that he appoints represent him, not me. They're representing him. So I'm taking a hit for his professionalism as a commissioner. I'm back here. I don't care who it is. I don't care. You want to put Jerry back on there? Okay. You know, I'm back in. But anyhow, that's the way I see we need to run this thing. Do we need some shake-ups? Yes. I'm not going to point no fingers. I ain't going to grab sides from nobody. I got a son that's 35-year firefighter. I know exactly what each and every one of them go through. Thank God we got them. They're a different breed of people because they're out there 24 hours a day with no pay. And I thank all of them for that. I have a problem with anybody having $8 million in the bank. I don't know what that is. I heard around $8 million. You know, this ain't their money.
Right.
This is every taxpayer out there's money. Need to get back on the track on that one. Without the changes, because it does not say we're not going to hire them. They put it
If I may make one last statement.
Sure.
That does all, even the attachments, become a matter of public record. And takes away a person's right to be innocent until convicted.
I think my suggestion is we get any time to go back and look at this, but she got tested to her last night. I think I forwarded it to her. And I think we need to let her take another look at it, and I'll be happy to bring it back, put it on the other agenda item, and let her come back with those, because I mean, the questions are here. Let's get one more. I mean, she's looked at it multiple times. I think we'll just let her look at it another time and start with the questions.
I'll have to give her a
well, I mean,
yeah.
I have 3 members up for election, and I know we have a deadline of December 9th. That's the reason I wanted to be here.
Anybody else? Any action done today? Any action? All right.
Let Maggie look at it again.
Okay. All right. So Maggie will come back. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Item number 20, discuss and take possible action to participate in the Kroger, Texas opioid settlement. You all have the information inside the package, and this is, we did have a settlement in the several years ago that we participated in. This is another opportunity for us to participate in the opioid settlement. So it's something I recommend you do this, and you need court action for me to sign this to participate. Okay, I have a motion and a second. I don't have a second. Now I have a second. To participate in the Kroger, Texas opioid settlement. Any other discussion? What did we just last year? No, this wasn't last year. This was the one we did for probably more than that, I think. What was it? How much did we get total on that settlement? It was quite a bit. It's been more than years ago. It was a tobacco settlement. Yeah, it's been a long while.
Sorry to ask that question. We'll change my vote.
All right, when we get that answer, all in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 21, discuss and take possible action to approve Health and Human Services Commission grant union contract number HHS 001-503-00044 under Women, Infants, and Children's Nutrition Grant Program. This is an award in the amount of $8,915,987. This is for a 5-year period. So it's a 5-year, not which is 1 year, that's fine. So
I'll make one, we approve the Health and Human Services Commission grant agreement between contract number HHS 001-503-4000044.
One extra zero.
Do you have any questions on that one?
I did one extra zero.
no, it's a 5-year program. It's for 5 years. That's the $8 million is for 5 years. Okay, any other discussion? I'm sorry, that's a mistake. Commissioner Lynch. Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the Health and Human Services Commission grant agreement contract HHS 001-503-4000044. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 22, discuss and take possible action to authorize the county judge to execute an unapproved property contract for the purchase of the Westview Terrace, Lot 4, Castroville, Medina County, Texas, approved at the November 18, 2024 Commissioner Court meeting, and authorized the payment of $1,100 to Stewart Title for the earnest money and options fees. So,
I want to cover that at that time whenever I was supposed to buy the property and all.
You did, but we had the contract and we wanted it to come back before the court because it's the actual contract. Okay, well,
Any other expenses that may occur in the meantime.
Okay, so actually we need the motion to execute about this contract.
I'll take it to basically, I'll make a motion to authorize the county judge to execute an unimproved property contract for the Westview Terrace, Lot 4, Castroville, Medina County, Texas, approved on the November 18, 2024 meeting, which I told them to go ahead and pay for all their costs. Report and authorize the payment of $1,100 to the Stewart Title earnest money contract option fees.
I have a motion and a second, as stated by Commissioner Sitter. Is there any other discussion? All the discussion is yes, we did go on that. We had an actual contract we wanted to approve. So
I know I talked to you, Commissioner, but we didn't have anything to pay off. We have an
So you are correct. You did say all that before. Maybe you didn't know that it's possible. Possibly you said wait.
I'm sure it's Gina's fault.
Yeah, but I do appreciate you saying all that. All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 23, discuss and take possible action to declare items from the Sheriff's Department as salvage and authorized disposal. They're working on, I think I saw here, the vehicles, the mobile vehicles. Some of them have bad motors, bad transmissions, a little bit of everything in them.
So the only thing, can I say something about that? The standard sheet that we get on the asset disposal form, the 4 vehicles that the Sheriff's Department is wanting to send to auction, it says they're in good condition.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, yes, they're 2015, 2016 models. How many miles do they have about this time frame?
They have a lot of miles in it, and I don't know why they got put. Well, my real question is, I don't know why they got put as good because they're not in good condition.
Okay, so now
I don't know if you filled this out.
Most of them have had like transmissions replaced. They've had quite a few of the 16s that have had that same issue over and over. So to take them off patrol is essentially if not, we've had several units that break down in the middle of a call, so it's, we got to
Yeah, we need to make sure to get a good, not a good description, but a good description on it. We need a good description of this case.
Yeah, they might skip it. So, yeah, the additional description on the disposing of assets, especially if it's vehicles, would be good, because I know we have other offices and departments within Medina County that have previously requested vehicles. And we do have one that we can transfer from one department to another. It basically saves the county and the citizens from going out and getting a brand new.
Correct, yes, sir. And we will make sure we notate those descriptions of those asset disposal forms as well.
And we need to take a look at all of those as a commission. They're definitely not.
Okay.
We need a proper description.
Yes.
Okay, any other discussion? Who's my second? I have a motion. Did I have a motion? Okay, so I'll take one.
I'll make a motion to declare the items in the sheriff's department as salvage and authorize disposal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to declare the items from the sheriff's department as salvage and authorize disposal. Any other discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. If you do want an opportunity to see them, you can see them down at the auction. All right, working announcements.
My house heavier since Thanksgiving. We're getting into the wintertime. We have completed all of our major projects and seal coat works for the fall. What we're doing now is continuing the we're still doing some shredding. We'll continue to do that all winter long. We bladed 4 gravel roads in the precinct. What I'm having my crew do is when the distributor truck is available and not being used by another precinct, is putting emulsion into the gravel base. What that does over time is it hardens and it actually kind of prevents moisture from getting into that base, so you're not going to get as many potholes or the washboarding. What that does is it decreases the maintenance that we have to perform on those roads. So instead of coming back and regrading every 3 months, it might extend it to 4 or 5. So putting that product in those gravel roads really does help. It also helps with dust control. And since we haven't been getting a lot of rain, that's one of the first calls I received after we put in on mulch. It's oh, thank you. There's no dust coming into my house anymore. We've been cleaning up brush, picking up debris that's been left on the side of the road. But other than that, I think it was a good, restful Thanksgiving break. I'm looking for getting a lot of our equipment into the shop to do the heavy type of preventative maintenance before we start again early spring.
Everything good. Had about 4 or 5 people out last week with flu, and the week before that. We got all that done. We did get another mile and a half done in Alsatian Heights. We got another 7 pins that we're going to do hopefully next Thursday or Tuesday, one of the two, the this morning. And we're going to give everybody in Alsatian Heights a brand new roof for Christmas. It's need to drop out and take a look at it. They've done a fantastic job. We did it. We were lucky enough to shoot 24 feet on the whole side of it, and it really beautiful and out looks nice. But other than that, I guess we're doing the same thing. Waiting to get these holidays behind us and move on to next year.
Precinct 3 is good. My wife and I were 2 of those that enjoyed the flu for Thanksgiving. So I took 5 pounds from Thanksgiving and lost 5. So not the way I would recommend doing it, but yeah. Yeah. So we've got a list of roads that we are working on prioritizing to do some preparatory work for this next glucose season, as well as doing all the normal things that we do this time of year. So.
Precinct 4, I'm getting ready to start the last road project. They're starting it right now, as a matter of fact. For the year, I'm working shorthanded. I can only have 4 people at work for the rest of the year, so we're going to see what we can get done.
Only other update I can report is we did get Commissioner Castellini got it also just an update on the MPO. They're still waiting on the governor's signature, so there is a call for projects coming out, so we'll be working.
I've already spoken with TxDOT. They have an initial list of projects for us. Those are really top candidates that you submit because they already have the support of TxDOT. Usually they've done the initial background work, the preliminary estimates, and sometimes they have some the county by itself can submit additional projects on county roads. Those are a bigger task for us, and it would take some time. If I had a specific project, probably we would have to work together on something that is on a county road that is a real high priority. But I've already spoken with TxDOT. I have their list, and we'll be going through that probably within the next month. So hopefully when the governor gets everything signed, we should be ready to go.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor, aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank